fully inspected for truth, even though it's being passed on as the truth. Take urban legend, for example. A guy will swear to you that it was a friend of a friend's sister that disappeared on prom night 20 years ago, and how her ghost now hitchhikes along the lonely road between town and the old cemetery. You'll hear the same story in multiple cities across the country. If you ask him to give you specific names and dates, he won't be able to provide them. Yet just moments ago, he was passing on these falsehoods as truth, and he did it with passion. Many years ago, I was told not to move to California. I was living in Houston, Texas at the time, and I just had this craving to live on the West Coast, and I'd never even been there. And I was telling people I want to go to California, and these people started telling me, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. And they would tell me that the people in California are strange. Well, people who never lived in California were giving me this advice. They had only read about it in a newspaper or seen it on some gossip, TV show. The same phenomenon occurs with sales. Let me just go back to California. There are strange people that live there, trust me. And it is expensive, but it's worth living there. It's worth having the experience, and I'm glad I didn't listen to them. Okay, so this same phenomenon of false information, false data occurs with sales and has given the entire profession and the skill itself a bad name. It's such a shame because everyone needs the skill of selling to get along in life. And the profession itself offers incredible amounts of freedom and phenomenal amounts of financial benefits. People continue to pass on the false information that selling is hard, that it's difficult to depend on commissions, that selling is sleazy, that you'll have to work long hours, it's not dependable, and you can't rely on the income. And it is not considered a real job, by the way. While this may be true for some, it may be true for you. It's not the reality of those who know what they're doing. Most of the images people have regarding a topic are very rarely ever based in reality. Certainly any negative image you might have had about salespeople would be based on the past, right? If you have a negative image, it had to come from the past. It's not coming from the future. It's based on some past image, which would suggest that your considerations aren't even relevant to the present because they are in the past. If I'm talking about selling or persuading or negotiating and you get an image of a past experience or something you were told about a salesperson and you're no longer involved in the present conversation because of that. You get this? I tell you about sales. You have a negative image, comes from the past. You're not really even communicating with me anymore. You're relying on some past decision, some advice, or some opinion for your information. All images based on the past have very little value in the present and definitely no value in creating the future. This is very, very important. All images based on the past have very little value in the present and definitely no value in creating a future. Selling, critical to survival. And when I'm talking about survival, I'm not just talking about getting by, I'm talking about prospering. See, regardless of your preconceived opinion, your idea or value that you might have regarding sales and salespeople, you need to fully adopt, completely embrace that you're going to have to sell no matter your position or your job in life. Whether you're rich or poor, male or female, on salary or commission, you're always selling something. Or you're selling an idea to someone else in order that you advance survival. There's no exception to this rule and no way to escape the fact. That doesn't mean that you'll start wearing polyester slacks and white patent leather shoes and talking fast and pressuring people. Take a moment to consider all the different roles you play in life. Let's say you came up with a wife, I'm a partner, I'm an employee, I'm a mom. These are different roles you have. Teacher, church member, neighbor, friend, writer, PTA president, whatever. I want you to look at each of these roles. And most people have multiple roles in life. I want you to take and observe how selling is involved in each one of those. Maybe selling isn't your full-time career, and maybe you don't get paid a monetary commission to sell a product. Maybe you don't even have a business card. that calls you a salesperson, but I assure you that you'll see how selling will impact your success in each of your roles in life more than any other single ability you have. The receptionist who wants a raise, the actress who wants the part, the guy who wants the girl, all rely on selling themselves whether they know it or not. A professional salesperson, the career salesperson, the guy with the business card that says salesperson, see, he depends on sales for his livelihood and definitely needs to know how to do this thing called selling. Something as simple as driving to work, you do it every day, and then you want to get off the freeway. You will have to negotiate and sell the other drivers without talking. You will have to sell the other drivers so you can actually access the off-ramp. When you find yourself buying a house, for instance, and trying to convince the seller to sell at a lower price, you're not buying, you're selling. When you go to the bank to get a loan, you will be selling the bank on why you should be given a loan. The actor goes to an audition and hopes, wishes, and prays to get the part. Well, no matter how well prepared that actor is, they would be better able to convince the director that not only he or she can act, but he or she is the right person for that part. See, you have to start preparing now because there's no way to avoid the fact that you'll need this skill to survive and do well in life. The skill of sales is so critical to a person's survival and prosperity. I don't understand why it's not required study at school. The fact that it isn't taught in school, that it isn't required or even offered, only further indicates the immense value of those that take the time to learn this skill. See, it's my observation that the most important skills needed in life are not taught in school. I spent 17 years getting a formal education, 12 years, grade school, and then to 12th grade, and then 5 more years in college. And I can tell you that I have learned more at seminars, from audio programs, from reading books, and talking with other successful business people at conferences than my entire formal education. No successful business person would exclude basic selling, persuasion, and negotiating skills from those things that helped him or her along the way. A person's ability to persuade another is the only thing that will ultimately ensure a person's position in the marketplace today. Academic records, grades, resumes will not guarantee you a promotion or an advancement in life. Only the ability to sell others will guarantee that. All students should be required to learn basic persuasion skills, basic negotiating, and basic closing, and how those are fundamental to life. No other set of skills will better determine the likelihood of a person getting a job, much less being successful in life, than the ability to persuade others, negotiate successfully, and convince others to act. As an employer, I don't always hire the smartest person or the most qualified person to fill a position. I'm much more likely to hire the person who convinces me that they can do the job. I look at the person's ability to persuade before I ever look at the person's resume. The resume is dead. It's the individual that's alive. It's the individual I'll engage with every day. Hey, I'm thinking, will I like the other person? Will I like having them around me? Is this person a winner? Does this person exude confidence and a positive attitude? Can this person convince others to take action? See, I'll hire the persuasive, the positive, and the confident, hands down, over anyone who offers me a fancy resume. It has been said that almost 1/4 of population Earth is involved in selling as a career. But these people are confining their thinking to an industry and a job type. It is incorrect to think of sales in this way. Selling is an absolute must for getting along in life. Breathing, eating, and exercising are not careers for most of us. They're requirements for living and for surviving and for prospering and for making dreams come true. So it is with selling. Most books written about sales are about the career of selling, and they exclude how vital it is to life. It is elementary, vital, as important as breathing, water, and food. My wife constantly asks me, hey, how do you always seem or appear to get your way with people? And the answer is simple. Sweetie, because I want to. I get my way in life because I want a great life for us. I get my way in life because I try to get my way. Oh yeah. Because I know how to sell, I know how to persuade, and I know how to close others on getting what I want. See, whether she knows it or not, my wife is one of the best salespeople I've ever met. She's passionate, persistent, and she also always seems to get her way when she tries to. And hey, it's not just with me. This book, Selling the Secret to Success, is going to teach you how to get your way in life. Chapter 2, Salespeople Make the World Go Round. Salespeople drive entire economies. Career salespeople are vital to the dynamics of any economy. Without salespeople, every industry on the planet would stop cold tomorrow. Salespeople are to the economy what writers are to Hollywood. It has been said that even God and the devil need good salespeople. Selling is the last great, truly free enterprise opportunity available today whereby an individual can work for himself, be accountable to himself, and make his dreams come true. Literally, with a pen to sign contracts and a commitment to excel, you can become whatever you want. For those of you who are willing to commit to selling as a career and who continue to learn how to master it, there are no limits. Do so and you'll be rewarded with all the treasures that exist. Learn the great art of selling and you will never, I promise you, you will never be without work, as you are needed by others more than any other single profession. Learn how to control the entire cycle of selling from start to finish, and you'll have the confidence to go wherever you want, do whatever you want, sell whatever you want, and know with complete conviction that you can have whatever you can dream of. The world stops turning without salespeople. If a product isn't sold and moved onto the public, factory stop, production stops, and there's no need for distribution, no need for storage, shipping gets reduced, and advertising stops. The burden of the entire economy of our culture today rests on the ability of salespeople. The economic engine of society relies completely on the ability to get products into the hands of consumers. If the consumer doesn't buy, that means the salespeople didn't sell, the factories don't make it. Salespeople drive products, individual businesses, complete industries, and entire economies. Like many people, I went into sales when I got out of college because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I decided, hey, I'll try selling until I find a quote-unquote real job. I went to sales because it was easy to get into, and I didn't have to make any life-changing decisions to do so. Even after making my decision, my family, my friends, teachers rebuked me saying, Grant, get a real job. You're wasting your education. See, the problem for me was the so-called quote-unquote real jobs didn't appear to pay quote-unquote real money, and they looked to me like boring traps that sapped the life out of people. The only thing I could associate these real jobs with were the teachers who were promoting them to me. These quote-unquote real jobs come with quote-unquote real titles like doctor, lawyer, accountant, nurse, chemist, engineer, stockbroker, chiropractor, etc. You can go on, but they had titles, and it wasn't salesperson. See, the funny thing is, every one of these professionals had to sell themselves in order to make success in their own careers. Their success in life, doctor, lawyer, accountant, nurse, chemist, engineer, stockbroker, chiropractor, their success in life is utterly dependent on one skill more than any other, and that skill is selling. Sales or college? It's a phenomenal mistake that our culture today doesn't value selling enough to teach courses on it. Not once throughout my entire formal education was selling even introduced as an option. How respectable and desirable can the field be if it's not taught in school, I wondered. There must be something wrong with this thing called sale if it's not offered in high school or college. If the subject isn't even recognized or taught by the great learning institutions of the world, hey, it must not be a real career, right? Wrong. No one taught me about money or investing or real estate in school either. But they're very important. Just ask any rich person. See, that doesn't mean those subjects aren't valuable. They are. just as is selling. The schools don't teach people how to make marriage successful either, or how to raise children. But what could be more valuable than those things? See, many young people attending my seminars have told me they were torn between going to college and continuing with their sales career. My response has always been the same. Look, while the schools teach people very needed basics to get along in life, and the work world depends on that kind of resume that you went to school, no school can make a great person. That's not what they're there for. You will learn absolutely necessary requirements in school. You might make some great connections, but schools are not capable of making a person successful. Only by application will you or anyone become successful or great in any field. And I assure you, you will not become great in any field or highly successful in any endeavor unless you're able to sell. Survey the top 100 most financially successful people in the world today, and I dare you to find one who attributes his success to his formal education. Many of them didn't even go the traditional route of education. That is not to suggest that schools are bad or a waste of time by any means. But it is not the thing. School is not the thing that causes people to do great things. Look around you and you will find the school systems we have today producing a workforce of people who are able to remember what they read, but not able to apply what they learned. While you will learn many very needed basics, you won't learn how to, for instance, balance a checkbook, how to increase your net worth, how to save money, how to negotiate a great deal, how to communicate, how to resolve problems, or how to increase your value in the marketplace. Those things are not taught in school today. You will only learn that after school or by seeking other information outside schools, these things like the checkbook, increasing your net worth, how to communicate, how to get your way, how to resolve problems. But the truth is, that is what most people know they need in order to really improve themselves. And that is what you have to have that is necessary to improve your abilities. Basic education, while very necessary, cannot be considered an end-all. While there are some great teachers, incredible teachers in the school systems today, it's unfortunate that due to the ridiculously low salaries, many of them are only regurgitating curriculums and forcing students to study courses and subjects that will never be used in their day-to-day lives. Ask any business owner what his greatest problem is, and it will always be the same answer. Hey, I can't find people that I can depend on, that can think independently, that can solve problems, and can increase my business and expand my company. Schools teach students English, math, grammar, chemistry, history, geography, and more, and they are absolutely necessary. But then never take the time to teach something as important as selling, persuading, and really meeting an employer's needs. The schools, for whatever reason, are just not set up to teach the things that may make the biggest difference in your life. See, I don't know why that is, but I can tell you that I know salespeople who are making more money than heart surgeons and with far less liability and much less stress. All professions rely on sales. See, I know for a fact that for a person to have a great life, they'll have to know and apply the skills of any great salesperson. You can hire a doctor, a lawyer, or an architect, but you can't get along in life without the ability to communicate, persuade, negotiate, and close. See, these skills will prove more useful and more vital than anything you'll learn from a formal education. I'm not suggesting again that these other areas of knowledge are not valuable and worthy, because they are. I'm only demonstrating that selling is valuable and it's a worthy and respectable profession and a vital life skill for everyone. Rather than being an hourly working worker bee, you can become a highly paid individual with no ceiling on your earning potential. While others may have decided that sales isn't a respectable career, I can tell you that I've been able to spend time with leaders in many professions, from engineers to bankers to actors to film directors to industry leaders, and they valued me as a salesperson. Every one of those people has had to build their career around selling in order to reach the top of their industry. Of those top producers, In any industry, every one of them has been told that they need to study books on negotiating and selling and persuasion, and have. Why? Because they understand selling is vital to their success. Every person, no matter what his profession is, relies on this thing called selling. The politician wants to appeal to you and your interests so that you vote for him in the polling booth. The public speaker is hoping to convince you, or the audience, that his approach is the right way. He's trying to convince you to change. The employee desiring a promotion will have to sell his boss on the idea that he deserves more money. The coach has to sell the team on the idea of the winning, actually winning the game and implementing the plays. The real estate agent must convince you to buy a house or to give him or her the listing. The mortgage broker wants you to finance or refinance for the third or fourth or fifth time, and he's selling. The banker, he wants you to invest money in the bank's mutual funds or to cross-sell his products. The waiter is selling the special of the day. The clothing person wants you to buy a suit and then load up with 3 shirts, 2 ties, and hey, don't forget the credit card right at the end of the sale. Selling never ends. It includes you. It includes everyone. Those who can sell, persuade, and close are the ones who survive the best, regardless of their line of work. I'll let you come to your own conclusion about why selling is neither respected as a profession nor taught in schools. Maybe it's because there have been a handful of criminal salespeople over the years who have ruined the reputation for many. Well, these aren't salespeople, they're crooks. But you'll find criminals and con men in every field, including medicine, law, dentistry, teaching, politics, and psychiatry. I'll tell you the fact of which I am absolutely sure. No person will ever gain true power or stature in this world without the ability to persuade another. The ability to communicate and convince others is either your asset or your liability. No matter what your ambitions are in life, you're required to communicate to others. And the better you can communicate, the more people will agree with you. The more you can get others to agree with you, the more you can have your way in life. And the more you get your way in life, the more you will ultimately enjoy life. Chapter 3, professional or amateur? This is the question. Here's the professional. Now step into my world and let me unveil the secrets of the professional seller and how you too can become one. Even if selling isn't your career, you should be a professional at this thing in order for you to get more out of your life. See, I tell attendees in my money seminar, look, if you want to get rich, you want to know the ultimate difference between the rich and the poor, you have to learn how to sell. I became a professional at selling when I was 26 years old. After years of research and intense study on the subject, the hard work was well worth it. And the rest of my life has changed as a result of my learning this little understood life skill. And I promise you it won't take you 2 years. Every business I have ever started, every dollar I have ever earned, and all the great things that have happened in my life were a direct result of learning this ability called selling as a professional. 3/4 of population Earth has no clue that their success, their family's future, depend on this thing called selling. Their experiences in life and their career also depend on this thing called selling. And look, if they don't know how to sell, they can't be successful. If they don't even know that their futures are dependent, they can't be successful. See, while selling may not be your main occupation, hopefully by now you're convinced that selling is essential to your life. Now I want to take you to where the professional lives. See, no dream, I think you would agree, no dream can ever become a reality without successfully selling it to others. There's no shortage of dreamers on this planet. There are an abundance of people that gave up on their dream. And later someone came along and picked that dream up and sold it. And it became reality. So you need to know, first of all, the definition of a professional. This is a person engaged in a specific activity as one's main paid occupation rather than as a pastime. Now, I'm not suggesting that you have to be a salesperson as a main paid occupation, unless, of course, you understand what I'm saying here today, which is your life depends on this thing called selling. Therefore, your main paid occupation would be life itself, and you would no longer treat it as a pastime. Okay, so the definition is engaged in a specific activity as one's main paid occupation, life, in this case, rather than as a pastime. See, it is my experience that 99% of all the so-called professional salespeople have only a slight idea of what selling is, much less how to actually determine and predict results. Now, I'm speaking to career salespeople. Many of you don't know how to predict results and make something happen. See, what I've said is not meant to offend you in any way, but to inform you. I'm not hitting you. I'm not being critical. See, if it does somehow offend you, keep reading, because sometimes the truth is tough to hear, and this book will put you in control of your profession, put you in control of your customer, help you increase your income, and transform you into a true professional. See, the real pros, the real professional, for the most part, don't even call themselves salespeople. They call themselves litigators, negotiators, moderators, business owners, inventors, politicians, coaches, fundraisers, agents, actors, entrepreneurs, financial planners, and many other things. Consider, for example, Benjamin Franklin, incredible salesperson. John F. Kennedy, superstar, stud salesperson. Martin Luther King, oh my gosh. Not many communicators better than that guy. Bill Gates wasn't a software guy. Bill Gates was a salesperson, sold you on using a PC. Martha Stewart encouraged men and women alike to get in the kitchen. These are salespeople, folks. All made a difference. All highly successful. And then there's the amateur. The amateur, the definition of amateur is one who gauges in a pursuit, a study, a science, or sport as a pastime rather than as a profession, or amateur is lacking an experience and competence in the art or science. Wow, how disgusting of a definition. Never want to be called an amateur again. But I got to tell you, I've met hundreds of thousands of salespeople over the last 25 years, most of whom were amateurs and didn't know the first thing about selling, except maybe how to spell the word sell. See, is selling a pastime to you? No different than passing time watching TV? Do you lack experience and competence in this thing called selling? If so, get honest with yourself. Are you not clear about what you're doing when and while you're negotiating? Do you struggle to get your way in life? Get honest now. This book will change your life if you get honest. Do you think there's no way you could ever be a salesperson? Do you have a disdain for this thing called selling? Oh, I could never do that. Do you hate rejection, and even the idea of selling another is like, oh man, no way, I can't handle it. See, if any of these describe how you feel about selling, then me and you have some work to do, but we can sort it out together. Because I can show you how to become a professional, but you have to get clear on two things first. Selling is critical to your survival, regardless of what you're doing as a career. Number two, you must decide to become a professional and give up any ideas that this is for others and not for you. So two things you have to do. It's critical, and number two, I'm going to become a professional at it, not an amateur. I need this in my life, and I'm going to learn it. You have to decide that you want to start getting your way in life. You want to start winning. Quit thinking. You have to quit thinking that it's up to fate or the gods or my agent or my manager or somebody else is going to do this or the sales department will handle it. Look, it's up to you. And you will have to shift your thinking and get it that your very life and every dream that you have ever had depends solely on your ability to sell. If you're not getting your way, quit making excuses and decide now to learn everything there is to know about the only secret to success: sales. The great shortage. For thousands of years, salespeople have been amassing wealth and accumulating riches. And those same opportunities still exist today. See, most people don't even know the masses of wealth and the accumulated riches because these people that have accumulated the riches weren't calling themselves salespeople. It isn't real to most salespeople today that they can even amass fortunes. But this is due to the short-sighted view of the opportunities available for the great and dedicated salespeople. You know, while there may or may not be shortages of water and oil on this planet, I don't know if there's a shortage. They tell me there is. 2/3 of the planet's covered in water. And I don't know how much oil there is. I don't have any on my property, so it just seems like we always keep coming up with oil. While there may or may not be shortages of water and oil, I assure you there are vast shortages of highly committed, highly dedicated,